Hey everyone, it's Hydro Pump here. Today I got a very special guest, Team Ring of Destruction teammate NB here, and he is just finished topping the latest RBET tournament, RBET 3 Season 3, with KristyaSworn. So NB, how was the tournament experience? And you obviously did a good job, so congrats.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was a great experience. I played against a lot of really tough opponents with a lot of great decks, and I'm delighted to have gotten as far as I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got third place, so that pretty pretty good finish there. And yeah, we can just I guess jump into the deck list or anything you want to talk about with it.
I guess I'll just give a quick shout out if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah, go
mind.
for it.
Just to Pro Storm. He and I have been working on the KristyaSworn deck for months now, and we've been in each other's DMs a lot, and he's given me a lot of advice. We've done a lot of work on it, done a lot of practice together, and I think I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near as far as I did here without his help. So big shout outs to him and thank you to him.
Yeah, and Pro Storm's our teammate, if anyone doesn't know, and I actually played in the last RBET tournament with KristyaSworn, and I guess like him and I have been talking as well about the deck, and so it was kind of similar to his current list that you have here, but I
Mm.
managed to top that one, and I actually went to YCS Raleigh playing the Ultimate Time Wizard last week, and I went 6-2 finished and got 12. So a list similar to this, or like this kind of general list of KristyaSworn has been doing pretty well. And you've also been tearing it up on War League with KristyaSworn. I think you're like 7-0 record overall. So yeah, doing a really good job there.
Yeah, it's going well there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like league MVP right now. So ooh.
Well, I'll try to keep it up, but it's I think the stretch at the end of War League is going to be some of the tougher teams. So we'll see.
Yeah, it usually gets harder along the way, and then you have playoffs and all that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. But yeah, we can just jump into the list, and you can just talk about anything you want to mention. But I guess like the biggest talk as far as KristyaSworn is like, you know, do you play like the normal list of like Soul and Purity Light, or like do you play stuff like Wolves and all that? And here you have Wolves and no Soul and Purity Lights, but I know you played both or the Soul in the past. So how was Wolf for you in this tournament?
Wolf was always amazing. I'd never play a Light Swan deck without it. And when I first started trying this deck, I was interested in playing Light Swans and with Christia, but I think the first thing I identified was that I didn't like Soul of Purity and Light. I thought it looked like a very, very average card. You'd never play it if it weren't a fairy type. And I just thought, I don't want to use this card. And it just so happens that you can play enough fairies that fit the strategy anyway without it. So I cut those. Um, and I put in Wolves. And yeah, I just think you have to play Wolf. I mean, I think you want to play 3 Celestia anyway because it's a Light Swan and a Fairy. It's the same reason, you see some of the KristyaSworn lists play Shire. But if you're going to play Celestia, I think you need to play Wolf. So yeah, it made total sense to me, and it just gives you a chance to get lucky as well, which is exactly what you want in this deck. So yeah, it was phenomenal. I'd never go below 3. Even if I mean, the main problem with the card is obviously drawing it, but even then you play the 3 recharge, you play the Beckoning Lights, you play Lumina, charge to get Lumina, so you have a lot of ways to convert any wolves in your hand as well. So I think you can kind of mask the weaknesses of the card. And then obviously in a Light Swan deck, it's just really, really good if you mill it. So I think you have to play Wolf in KristyaSworn. I think people saying but it just adds to dead draws. I don't agree with that. I think you need to play it. I think it's too good not to play.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it gives you like something, like you said, it gives you a chance to be lucky. Where in the other build, like you're just milling to like gain to like no advantage, whereas Wolf can just kind of just like make the game go out of hand. Like if you just mill like a Wolf or two, pretty much at any point in the game, then you're probably just gonna like be winning. And it's a light sworn, so you can ditch it from hand. And the only reason you really played Soul was to like fix your grave count for Christia, but in this list we only have 2 Christia, so you're not really hard pressed to fix the grave count for Christia because you have slightly less fairy count. There's only like the 2 Honest, the 3 Celestia, and 3 Orange Light, and then Christia itself, so you're not really going to be filling the grave over 4 fairies as much. You're more so just trying to get to 4, go up to 4 anyways. And yeah, how was 2 Christia for you?
Well, it was a phenomenal card, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I mean, if you play a smaller fair, I mean, I don't know how small this is. I've got 10 fairies there, but it's harder to overmill, which is obviously one of the issues that stops you summoning it. So yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it was really, really good. Got summoned a few times. I played against a lot of frogs in this tournament, so as you'd expect, anytime I could summon it there, it was very, very good. And the deck's just so much better with the Christia. I don't think I could ever go back to a pure Light Sworn deck. I think you have to have this card, at least for me.
Yeah, Christia is just really strong and really good at closing out games where you can just, because it's a little scary to just going in with just JD. It's a little vulnerable to like pretty much any disruption, and so Christia is like a nice backup plan or game finisher. And then you're only playing 2 because again, like you don't have to worry about the overmilling thing as much with fairies, and then probably just don't want to see multiples of this card because you can only summon 1 realistically, so there's that too.
Yeah, I mean, I've played 3 for the longest time. I trimmed it down to 2, and I have no complaints at all. I could see myself playing 2 going forward. But I have no issues with 3 either, even though you can draw multiples, which is obviously a bad thing. I've done that for a long time, and it works. But I played 2 for this event, and it worked fine, so I think I might stick with it for now.
Cool. And you got like 3 Celestia, 3 Orange Light here again. In the build I topped the last river with, I only had 2 Celestia, but for the Ultimate Time Wizard, I went with the 3 Celestia, and then I just stuck the 2 Orange Light still, but that was the 3-3 ratio for you.
Oh, Celestia was phenomenal. As you'd expect, if you're playing the 3 Wolves and also even the Foolish Burial, it's so easy to summon it. So Celestia is phenomenal, and you need to play fairies, and I just think this is one of the best ones that you could play in a Light Sworn deck. And Herald was also phenomenal at 3. Again, you need to have the fairies, and it's one of the few kind of defensive cards in the deck, which is what you want, and it has such a powerful effect. I think you have to play 3, especially to beat the Vayu deck that's been so popular lately. You can stop Dark Grepher, you can stop Dark Arm Dragon. I did that in the tournament. You can synchro with it. Just a phenomenal card. Get it back off Beckoning Light. Yeah, I definitely stick with 3. I could see the merit in playing 2, but I think for me 3 is right.
Yeah, that card's just definitely really strong. And yeah, and I also, again, I mentioned I played 3 Celestia recently, and again, it's another fairy and a Light Sworn all in one, and it has a really good effect where it gives you kind of like a it's kind of like another bomb. You can just drop other than JD and Christia just to like, you can wipe the field in mill 4, so this kind of gets the game going for you. And then, I mean, you're playing all the ways to get Celestia out. You got the 3 wolves, the hamsters, the Raikos, and I mean, you even have like Threatening Roar to like make a Light Sworn live for a turn to summon Celestia.
Threatening Roar is phenomenal. I think I heard you said that at one of the tournaments you played this deck in that you were loving Threatening Roar as well.
Yeah, in the I played actually 3 Threatening Roar in the recent Time Wizard tournament I went to, and it was great
You
there.
did 3.
Yeah, and I had no complaints with Threatening Roar. It like kept me in a lot of games that I had no business really winning. But
Mm.
yeah, obviously 2 is fine, and you played 2 here, and you said it was really good for you.
Oh yeah. Threatening was really good. It makes again. I should have mentioned that's another card that makes it easier to summon Celestia, as you said. It's chainable. Yeah, really good card.
Yeah, I saw. I was watching like one of your top 8 matches, and I think you were playing as Blackwing, and you like brain controlled your JD, and you chain
Yeah,
Threatening Roar, and it was
DBO
pretty
that
much like
was.
lights out there.
Yeah. I top deck that Threatening Roar as well. I was cooked if I didn't draw that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
very nice. And I guess we can just talk about like some other decks here. I realized that looking at your list that you're not playing Garoth. I think you're probably playing the 3rd orange lay over Garoth. Did you miss that card at all as like a name, or just like having it with Lumina?
Yeah, I was a Garoth enjoyer for a while when I first picked up the deck, but eventually I just stopped being able to mill Light Swans with it. It might have been an issue of the list I was playing at the time, but I just couldn't hit one to save my life. And I think eventually I just got frustrated with it and took it out of the deck. Um, I think if you play a good Light Swan count, then it could be good and it could be worth playing. I haven't experimented with that card for a while, but I'd never criticize anyone for using it. Um, but it's just not, yeah, like I said, I just got frustrated with it in the past and I haven't picked it up since.
Yeah, yeah. The last tournament I played in, I didn't see Garoth very much, so it was like not like it was bad. I don't think I summoned it one time just because I didn't get a chance to like use it. But I guess it's a little combo reliant, whereas all the other Lightsworns kind of get your mills going, and but it's also kind of nice to have that extra mill with Lumina or potential draw. But I can see like it being potentially cut. And I guess for other Lightsworns, you got Jane and Arceus here. These 2 have been really good for me in the past. How were they for you?
Yeah, they were really good for me as well. Orcus, you can attack into set cards if you think it might be a Raikou, and that's really good. And a lot of the time, you'll have things like you might charge for an Orcus and summon it when you have Honest in hand, and because he can't be targeted, there's just really no way to get rid of that. And then if you have that Honest and a Celestia, you pretty much know he's guaranteed to stick around. You don't need Threatening Roar. So that's just another easy way to get Celestia out. So yeah, he's a phenomenal card. He defends you against DD Crow as well. And then Jane, it's just really good against Black Wings, against heroes, a lot of decks with beaters. It can even attack over a Dupe Frog. I used to not like Jane. I thought its effect was very meh. But I was made into a believer by Pro Storm. So yeah.
Yeah, as far as my experience with these cards, Arceus, the last RBET, it like saved me in one of the games because I went charge for Arceus, and I had like Honest in hand, Honest in grave, and like Beckoning. So I had like 3 turns of like Honest to use with Arceus essentially, and like it just like stalled enough for me to like come back and win. And then it's also really good against frogs because most of their stuff targets, so, and you play against a lot of frogs, so it's pretty good there. And with Jane in the Time Wizard tournament, my opponent's at like 45. I had like 2 Honest in hand, and he had a Caius on the field, and like Jane was like the one monster I can draw. Well, I can probably draw other things, but Jane just let me go like Jane beat over Caius, drop double Honest for game because it got that boost effect, so it was pretty good there.
Yeah, it just comes in clutch. You'd think it's not that great of a card, really. It's like a normal summon Cyber Dragon, which doesn't seem that great, but there's just certain matchups where attacking over like an Alias or a Shura can be the difference really between life and death. So yeah, I think it's a good card now.
Yeah.
I like it now.
Cool. And so that's those cards, and you got Cold Wave here, and then Heavy Storm on the side. How were those? Did you miss Heavy Storm on the main deck, or was it just fine on the side? And was Cold Wave just good enough by itself?
I mean, Cold Wave's certainly good enough by itself. I mean, the fact that, I mean, alone you can just go Cold Wave and Judgment's amazing, and that gets around Starlight Road. You can play Cold Wave and it'll stop things like, you know, a Brain Control, Crackback. And because I'm playing 3 Celestia, you know, Cold Wave's really good there too. So I think, you know, it's great by itself, just stopping their kind of counter. And Heavy Storm, I can't think of a great reason that I'm not maining it other than that there was a moment in time where I was playing this deck on the Edison rank ladder on Dueling Book where I was doing very badly. And then I made some changes to my list, and one of them involved taking out Heavy Storm to get closer to that original KristyaSworn deck. I think that time it debuted, it might have been at RBET Rulers last year or the year before. And then I started winning after I took Heavy Storm out. So I've been just kind of superstitious about that.
Take Heavy Storm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did something kind of
Yeah, I mean,
similar.
in theory, it should be great. You'd think, right? But I don't know. It's just maybe it's a superstition.
Yeah, it's kind of iffy or up in the air if it's better in the main or the side, just because in the last RBET I played Heavy Storm and Cold Wave, but then I moved it to the side for the Time Wizard tournament I just went to. And it was fine there, aside from like I guess when I played against VU and they had like a sticky oppression where I just couldn't find like Lilas or Reiko, so it might have been good there. But on the flip side, you might have hands where you have like Cold Wave, Heavy Storm, and it's not really doing anything. So it's a little interesting, but yeah, Cold Wave's been really good in my experience.
Also on Cold Wave. Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say also on Cold Wave you can gold Sarc for it if you have a good hand, and that usually just seals the deal. So that's another
you don't have to worry about the road like you mentioned. Yeah. They could have like 5 back row and you just Cold Wave and they might not have anything. So and I guess the last card we can talk about as far as the main, unless you want to mention anything else, is Gold Sarc. I know some builds have cut Gold Sarc, and I've been playing Gold Sarc and it's been fine for me, but how was it for you at this tournament?
Yeah, it was good for me. I sarked most times for Solar Recharge. I never got to do Gold Sarc for Cold Wave because you need normally a cracked hand to do that anyway. So most of the time I was just getting a recharge, but that was really, really good. I didn't play with this card for the longest time. I'm a believer in it now. I'd be okay cutting it as well, but I think it's good.
Yeah, it's nice to side out sometimes when you're like going second or maybe against a fast deck, but I guess something also common with is Threatening Roar, just to off-put. You pretty much like skip your opponent's turn for a turn, then gives you some time with Gold Sarc, so that's a little nice. And yeah, so is there anything else you want to mention with the main deck?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Did you want to mention anything else with the main, like any other cards, or? Oh yeah, I guess you have Necro Gardener here. I wasn't playing Necro Gardener, but you have Necro Gardener.
Yeah, I love Necro Gardener. The amount of times that you defend a Light Swan so that you can summon Celestia with it is really, really good. Yeah, I don't think I could ever take this card out. I'm a big fan of this. It feels so good to mill this card. Yeah, I'm a believer.
Yeah, I'm not against Necro Gardener either. I think I had like the third Threatening Roar over Necro Gardener pretty much, but yeah, Necro is also really good. So, and you didn't have Plague here, which I wasn't playing Plague either, but did you miss that? I know you've had that in your list in the past.
Yeah, Plague should be good in this list because I play 3 Wolf, so you'd think you could stack it and then try to mill the Wolf. I just never found the synchros that you summon off of it to be really all that helpful or necessary. But it could be worth experimenting with a bit more. At least if I'm playing the Wolf. If I weren't playing the Wolf, I wouldn't bother with it at all. But with it, I think maybe.
Yeah, there's like potential there, but I guess you kind of risk like opening it or just having like just like a lot of dead cards in hand. So not really the best
Yeah, you got
draw.
to find the right balance between the number of cards that you want to mill and that you want to, you know, to not draw.
Yeah, that's kind of like the dance you have to play with KristyaSworn, is like the cards you actually want to draw versus the cards you want to mill, and the ratios there. So cool.
Yeah.
And we can just jump onto the side deck. You got 3 Consecrated Light, which is obviously for Blackwing mostly, and I guess this was pretty good for you. I saw it won you a game in top 8, so that was pretty nice.
Yes, it's the MVP versus Blackwing. If you summon it, yeah, their deck stops working basically. And it's a light, so you can get it back with Beckoning Light. It's a fairy. No reason not to max it out.
Yeah, it also won me a game in the Ultimate Time Wizard against Blackwing. It was just like lights out pretty much. So I guess that's like the one floodgate for Blackwings that you can play, and it fits pretty well. Like if you're gonna play in any deck, you're gonna play in this deck probably. So.
Yeah.
And
also, there's Roll Decree.
Yeah, Roll Decree.
You combine that with Consecrated. That's amazing.
Yeah, if you're able to pull out the Consecrated Light Decree combo, like you're probably just gonna win. So it's pretty nice there. And you're on the Free the Brave Wanderer tech in the side, and ProStorm put me on this because I was trying to find like the last card I put in my side deck for the Time Wizard tournament, and played Freed, and it came up once for me. But how was this card for you?
I never got to summon it, so I couldn't tell you. I put it in just for this tournament, so I've never tried it before.
Yeah.
But there was one. It did. I suppose you could technically say it won me one game because I had that and an Honest in the Grave, and both were lethal. And I played Beckoning Lights with one card in hand, and my opponent had a DD Crow, but he could only, he couldn't get rid of both, obviously. So if I hadn't had this, then I wouldn't have had the game-winning move, but having that in the grave meant his Crow couldn't stop it. So that was the only time it ever came up. It's meant to be there to stop things like Vanity's Fiend or the Dragon one, Kwakimeri Drago.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a light, so you can get it back off Vortex. It's a normal summon. You can modulate your graveyard with it. You can pop your own monsters with it as well, again to fix the graveyard to be 4 for Christia. So yeah, it's good, and you could even play if you wanted reinforcement of the army to get it, because you have a few warriors in this deck. You have Jane, you can play Eren, Garoth, you could search Necro with it, so you can play that as well. So I don't know how good it is because I've never summoned it in this deck before, but I'm gonna experiment with it.
Yeah, it is a solid-sided card, and if you don't see it, it's not like a big deal. But the one time it came in clutch for me was when I drew it and I had Celestia on field with 3 fairies engraved. So I got the 4 fairies because I popped my own Celestia, which was kind of funny. And I guess it is like the one monster you can beckon him back to just like pop a monster, because like say that like they do have Vanity's Fiend on the field, they can just go, okay, Freed, summon JD, like attack or something like that. So that's like, it's just like a nice option you can have. And then for the other cards, we were kind of talking about Heavy Storm, but you got Lightning Vortex here. Me and ProStorm were in discussion with Vortex versus Book of Moon, and the last tournament I played, I decided to go with Book of Moon, and I liked Book, but you have Vortex, so how was this card for you?
Yes, this is another card that's for Vanity's Fiend and Kwakimeri Drago. I only got to play Vortex once, which was after my opponent dropped a Gauze, but it was good. That Gauze would have been it could have swung the game, so it was good there. I thought about playing Book of Moon in this slot as well, but the thing about Book of Moon is that you feel as though you have to kill the monster the turn you play it, and there's no guarantee that you can do that. And if you don't and they flip it back up, then you might just lose on the spot. And I think that I like the assuredness of Vortex, that if I play it I know that in the absence of a solemn judgment or maybe in my body that it's getting rid of the threat. So
Yeah, I think they both have their pros and cons, so there's no real wrong answer really. I guess if you're playing more than one lightning vortex, you run the risk of just like being a little too passive, but I'm sure one in the side is just fine. And I guess you can just always like clean up like the Vandy's Fiends and Floodgate monsters like you mentioned, so pretty good there.
I guess another thing also is that in this type of deck, the light swans, you have a lot of redundancy in your hands, and there's always dead cards that you don't need. You're rarely playing with like a 6-card playable hand. Is usually 2 or 3 cards that you can actually use on any given turn because they're all normal summons, or it might be a hand trap that's reactive, or you might have a wolf or 2 in there. So there's always something to get rid of as well.
Yeah, I can also get you the 4 fairies or another name if you need to in a pinch. So that's kind of nice. The only thing I guess one thing I didn't really like is that it's like it kind of conflicts with Beckoning Light just because it is a -1 in a sense as far as hand size. But yeah, that was like the one complaint I have with the card. So and then you got 2 My Buys of shields here. I guess it's for like stuff like Black Wings with the Icarus attacks and even Hero Beat potentially.
Yeah, it's really just there to protect Consecrated Light. I think that's the main quality of the card.
Yeah, I've been main decking one of these, and ProStorm said he really likes it in the main, but I haven't really seen it in my hands, just playing the one because it's just, again, the tech. But yeah, it's definitely a really solid card, and it's nice against like Starlight Road, Bottomless, Stardust Dragon, or even Absolute Zero, so it can come up in those situations too, which pretty handy.
I suppose another thing also is that in a Light Swan mirror, they might, KristyaSworn mirror, they might try and herald your monster, and this would defend that. So yeah, it's got its uses.
Yeah, or even against like Dragon Turbo, where you just Christia on field, and their main out is usually Lightning Vortex. You have to force them to have like a back row sweeper and a monster sweeper, so kind of stresses them a little bit there. So, and Amaryllis decks, or just plant decks, they have Black Rose Dragon, so there's a lot of cards this card hits. Be pretty handy. Cool, and you got MST here. I guess for Light Imprisoning Mirror is pretty annoying, and it's popping up a couple more side decks here and there, so gotta get rid of that Light Mirror and Black Whirlwinds.
Oppression.
Yeah, Oppression too. And so yeah, that's kind of like staple. And I guess you this was the right turn to play 3 Master Restrict in your side, considering you played against a bunch of Frog decks. And I feel like this deck normally has a good matchup against Frogs, but you just wanted to like, put them out of their misery. So how was the Master Restricts?
Oh, this was the MVP card, maybe of the tournament. Oh, this card is phenomenal. I don't have enough good things to say about this card. If you flip it, they can't. Their deck stops working, and a lot of decks they'll side out spell and trap removal against a Light Swan deck as well. So you really catch them off with this. I think what I've learned from playing this game over time is that a lot of people will say what cards are better or not, but the most important thing is just to play the cards you're more comfortable with. And I was playing Soul Release for a while, but I'm more comfortable with Mask of Restrict, and this is the card I'll stick with if I ever want to side against Frogs. Yeah, this is just, I love this card. It's really very, very good.
Yeah. It's good across the board against like all the Frog variants, and again, they can't really play for the most part, and it kind of lets you set Raikos, like do that game plan as well, so you don't get like, because normally if you set like a Hamster or a Raiko against Monarchs, they're gonna get hit with the Monarch. But here you can just have the Master Strict and you can still play those cards potentially. So that's something that's kind of nice. I played against a couple Frog players at the YCS last week, and it was honestly, I didn't even see any of my side deck cards, and I just like kind of beat them relatively easy. So I'm not sure if Master Strict is needed, but you felt comfortable with it, and you play against a lot of Frogs, so it was really good there. So
Yeah.
Can't complain there. And then you have Decrees again for Black Wings. And did you side against anything else this weekend?
I just side this against any deck that I think might have a skill drain or a light mirror usually. And also, you can bring it in against Vayu because they might have deck devastation virus, and you're desperate to stop that card. Yeah.
Yeah, just preventing all those annoying floodgates or traps that you might be facing against. And you got Trap Dust Shoot, and I guess for like Frogs, Dragon Turbo, the Mirror, and the decks that just hold a large hand.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if we really have to talk about the extra deck because this deck isn't really focused on the extra deck. But did you make anything this weekend?
I summoned Avenging Knight Parsha.
Oh wow!
And that was very good.
I have yet to summon this guy. So
yeah, I got it with Herald and
like a Reiko or
Raiko and something else.
like Lila, like, potentially.
Yeah. So that was good against a Frog player. I got a Treeborn with it, so as you'd expect, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, in my experience so far, I've only summoned like Brionic and Goyo Guardian.
Yeah, it's more the 6s, I think, that you get.
Yeah, just because they're really easy to get with Herald, and we're not playing the Plague or like the Soul Impurity Light, so you don't get like Ancient Sacred Wyvern or Avenging Parshath as much, really. Cool. So what were your matchups like in this tournament? I know you said you played against a lot of Frogs, but did you play against? What else did you play against?
Oh, I played against 5 Frogs.
5
in
Frogs.
total.
I know you said you played against 4, but woo.
I think it was 5. 5 Frogs. I played against an Instant Fusion zombie deck. I played against Blackwing twice, against Amaryllis. I think those were the matchups. Yeah, 5 Frogs, zombies, 2 Blackwings, and Amaryllis. Yeah.
Dang. So yeah, Frogs is just naturally like a good matchup, and you have the Master of Strix too to reinforce that. And
yes. Oh, I should add Gladiator Beasts as well. I faced.
Oh yeah, I watched the Gladiator Beast matchup, or I caught the end of it. How was that matchup? Just because it can kind of be like good or bad, because you got Christia, but it's Glad Beast, and they can kind of disrupt your grave and whatnot.
Oh yeah, it was a great match against a great opponent. Very, very tough, and I think you just have to play a certain way against Gladiator Beasts. Like for example, leaving a beater on the board and not letting it go so easily. And I have no doubt that my opponent played better than me, but my deck just kind of did its thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I was watching. I was getting a little worried because he Starlight rode your Celestia. I was like, oh no. But you managed to pull it out and get the dub there. And yeah, so it sounds like you had pretty good matchups across the board. You have good side deck for Frogs and Blackwings, which you played a lot of, and you lost to Amaryllis and top 3 because this is a double elimination tournament. And yeah, it just didn't look like you had the best start there, whereas your opponent just kind of had a crazy hand in those games.
Yeah, I made a horrible mistake in the first game, but in the second he'd got some very, very, very good mills, let's say. But hands off to him. He was the better player and he deserved to win.
Cool. Well, Nonetheless, you still managed to get third in the tournament, and so it's a pretty good finish. Do you have any closing remarks about the deck, or anything you want to change going into the future?
In terms of changing, I'd maybe add a Dust Tornado or a Twister. Because I did lose my Blackwing game to go into losers bracket because of Light Mirror and Royal Oppression. So I think I'd add another card maybe to stop that. But the only other thing to say would be that I think this deck is being underplayed. I think it's up there with Feiyu, with Black Wings, with Dragons. I think it's a phenomenal deck, and I think people need to give KristyaSworn with Wolf, with Wolf a go. I think most people don't play Wolf in the Christia version of the deck, and I think if they do, they'll be pleasantly surprised with what they see.
Cool. Yeah, I'd agree. It's been, I mean, it's done pretty good in the last 3 major tournaments, and again, you've been doing really well in War League with this deck, so, you know, obviously there's something there. It's not like it's just like a one and done kind of thing. It's been doing pretty well consistently the past couple months here, and yeah, I think the deck's really good, and because people were like really excited when the deck got first introduced at like Rivet Rulers a couple years ago, and then the hype kind of slowly died down. But I guess Wolf is kind of like bringing it back to the pure Lightsworn-esque, where, you know, it's just like a good mill. I guess it's kind of like people think of it as a kind of a meme card, but in a sense, you're kind of just replacing cards that are normally bricks with Wolf that can potentially be a brick. But, and I guess it's, again, Netsia, the solar recharge thing, but we already talked about. But yeah, again, congrats for getting third place at Ribbit. You got your Ribbit top, so you can participate in the Ribbit Rulers coming up here at the end of the year. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll catch you all later.